We can have a little bit of fun, even with one club. Even if you're pretty useless, you can get better by having a little bit of fun and realizing what is possible with even just one club. Now, what I'm going to show you is, this is how I want you to practice, and you can do this in your yard, on a green, whatever. Even though we've got the flag here, I've sort of aimed towards it, but the objective isn't to try and get this close. What I want to show you is, this is about developing your feel. We've got that basic technique, okay? I'll cover it left side over, level shoulders, keeping the triangle moving, keeping everything sort of connected. Really simple. It's the same technique, okay? But we want to try and scooch a shot lower and higher, because I want you to see how a ball sort of travels. So how are we going to make it, travel a bit lower and roll out? What we do, we move the hands forward a little bit, okay, and we just move the ball a little bit further back than normal. It's the same triangle technique, the same feels, but what we're doing is smothering it and almost feeling like you're hooking the ball, just that little bit, okay? So I'm going to still try and pick a spot to land on. I can see a white little fleck in the grass there, so I'm still going to try and do this low fleck, and it's rolling out. It rolled out tremendously. But here's the fun part. Now I'm going to try and flight a shot directly towards that, to land it, or end up in the same place, but land it as close to that end point as possible. So I lower the hands a little bit to get a bit more height, and I have the same triangle feel to try and land it on that spot. And that turned out pretty good. Same goes with, let's just try a slightly shorter one, okay? I'm going to just roll it here. Okay, so it's rolling out. Now I'm going to try and flight one. Hands a little bit lower. Club face a hair open. Same technique. Weight forward. Gripping down it a little bit. But keeping that triangle, the left side moving forward and flighting it all the way. This is giving me the distance control I want. And just for the heck of it, you can try it even with, say, an 8-iron to try and get a little bit of height, to try and get that sort of control and feel, because it's pretty the same principles, the same fundamentals, but if you can get some decent control even with random clubs like that, regular shots become very easy. So if we just keep practicing with various shots like this, so walk with me a moment. Let's say we're going to pick all right, let's play the hole. Let's do this. I'm going to take 2 shots. I'll just play it off the fringe. It's not exactly the club I would choose, but let's just play this to the flag. I'm going to play one which is a bump and run. We've got the slope going all the way down, so I'm rolling this out. So where do I want to land this? It's going to roll halfway, it's going to land halfway. So just above where the slope dips down, about there, and it's going to roll out towards the flag. Not too bad a result. So the other option we've got now is to sort of skip out this embankment, right? Skip out this embankment, land it past the slope, more or less on the flat bit, and then hopefully we can get some accuracy that way. So I'm going to open up the club face a little bit. This is a little bit advanced, but the same technique applies. Exactly the same technique applies. I'm only opening up the face just a little bit, but I'm keeping the sternum moving forward and accelerating, and I'm popping it up. I flew it a little bit too far, but there's the idea. This is how we practice. Now the club, just to give you an idea, the club that I would have used every single time there would have either been an 8-iron or even a putter. But different shots around the green, all we're trying to do is hit the landing spot. It just depends on the height. It depends on the club we're using. For this very same shot here, whether we're playing out the rough, okay? Let's say I do a sand iron, I'm popping it up. That's flying quite high, rolling not very far. if I wanted to play it a little bit safer, it's a sand iron, but I'm keeping the hands ahead of the ball just a little bit more. And what it'll do is fly a little bit lower and roll a little bit more. And it's such subtle differences in the technique. But we're playing around with this tiniest adjustment, but it's giving us completely different results. So an 8-iron here, I just need to bump it just past the fringe. And that came out a little bit hot from the rough, but there was the idea. So in hindsight, what club would I have, what shot would I have used there? The correct shot for me was the middle one, where it was keeping the sand iron a little bit lower, making sure I get out the rough without too much interference, and sort of landing it halfway, letting it roll halfway. Have fun with different clubs, keep the same technique, and just see what it does to your game, okay? Let me know. The technique required for chipping is not complicated, my friends, but let me cover a couple of points that will really make the difference for you. What happens a lot of the time is, I'll ask people, where should your weight be? Most people realize that the weight should be on the lead side, okay? So what they do to get the weight on the lead side is they'll sort of bump their hips forward this way. But what happens then is we've sort of created this too steep an angle. Actually, that's why I needed that. We've got this too steep an angle here, because all we've done is sort of bump the weight forward to have the weight on this side. But by having this angle here, what we've done is alter the arc. And what I mean by that is, we are now more likely to either dump the club at the bottom here, because the bottom of our arc has sort of changed. The angle of attack has changed. It's going to be striking here. However, we essentially need the shoulders to sort of be a little bit more level. And a lot of times this is accentuated because around the greens we're often on an upslope. But we want the shoulders to be just that little bit more level. But if I just do the shoulders, I feel a little bit awkward here. I'm a bit skew-whiff. And what happens when you've got the shoulders this way, or if you've got them this way, you can either catch the ball thin or you hit it fat, which is a consistency killer. So, to get the accuracy right of the predictability, to be able to just bottom out with accuracy, with consistency, all we need to do is a little checkpoint to find that balance point. Think of it as that. So I want you to take your left leg, your right leg off. So I'm balanced with the left leg here. But notice I can't lean too far forward and I can't lean back. I sort of counterbalance myself to find a neutral position, especially on the slope, but with more weight on the left side. And all I do now is place the right foot down lightly, and now I'm in a very neutral position. And then from here, all we need to do is a regular action, and what that's going to accomplish is the same bottom out aspect when you focus on a couple of other elements like keeping the triangle or whatever it might be. That's going to give you the consistency, because what happens is if you've got too much tilt this way, people think, well, I've got to move the ball further back, but then that can create sort of a lifting action which can cause thin shots like this. Okay, we're trying to do too much. So very easily, very quickly, even practice it at home if you need to, take your trail leg off, find your sort of balance point in your core, in your shoulders. If you can't sort of balance easily, just use a club just to give you a bit of support here. Okay, have the ball in the middle of the stance and just place that right foot down, have the ball over the sternum, and now we've got this comfortable technique. This is going to be the most consistent sort of balance of primarily having the weight on the lead side, keeping the hands slightly ahead of the ball, but the sternum rotating in as much of a neutral, consistent fashion as possible. So that's the setup. And as far as grip goes, I want you to be firm with the hands, but you definitely want to feel the weight of the club. Feel that, this is about momentum. It's about texture. We're not trying to rush it. We're not trying to force it too much. Allow the club to move sort of naturally, And we're not going to let it pass the hands through. We're just going to keep it sort of neutral, because this is about having as much predictability as we can muster. From the setup, it's all about just being able to bottom out that circle, that arc, as consistently as possible. So making the shoulders neutral, keeping the sternum moving through the ball, the grip firm, but the hands and wrists sort of, the forearms and wrists loose, and you're going to get a wonderful, consistent strike more often. Get that basic right, and you will be more consistent, I assure you. And you might be quite surprised to realize what you were trying to do by moving the ball further back, tilting the shoulders more, is just going to make you skew whiff. Keep it simple. All right, so I hope you like that. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Click the little notification bell. But you know, this will make a big difference to your game. And if you want to take your game to the next level, just click the link below. It will help you with every department of your golf game. No matter where you're at, it's giving you principles that can either help you break 90, 80 or 70. The same apply. But they're free lessons, so all you need to do is click that link. And if you have any questions, just ask below and I will get back to you. See you next time.